Hi everyone and welcome back. If you're new, I would love for you to click that subscribe button right below this video. For our first project, I am using a Dollar Tree hurricane glass vase, but you could use a battery operated LED candle. Whichever one you choose, you'll want to measure the diameter at the bottom. In this case, mine is 10 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to use a Dollar Tree square and some of their wood sticks. You're going to line the sticks up to make sure they're all flush at the bottom where the square is. And you'll want to do that until you get the diameter of your candle or vase. So I did make mine about 1/4 of an inch longer, so I used 11 inches. I again made sure everything was flush at the bottom, and I'm using some double-sided sticky tape. You'll place that about 3/4 of the way down on each of the sticks. Press it down firmly and make sure you get in between all of the grooves, kind of pushing that tape down in between every one of those sticks. This is going to make sure that they stay pretty close together. I did leave a little excess tape on there, so I made sure that it was going to fit all the way around my cylinder before I removed the back side of the sticky tape. Then I set the cylinder flush at the bottom and wrapped the wood sticks around. Then if you have any of the excess tape, you can tuck that down behind one of those wood pieces. Press it firmly, make sure everything adheres well. You can decorate this with some of these gorgeous florals from Temu, or I'm going to put a battery-operated LED candle in there, and this is a gorgeous piece to decorate your home with. For this project, we are using some of Dollar Tree's glass stickers, and you will need 2 packs. I picked out the 3-row design of the flowers, and I cut those out for both of those packs. Then I'm going to lay these down on some wax paper, and I'm painting mine with my favorite green paint, which is Waverly chalk paint in the color Celery. But you can paint yours with acrylic paint and the color of your choice. I put 2 coats of paint on there, and once that was dry, I'm going to take some white paint and a Dollar Tree sponge applicator, dab that into my white paint and get most of the excess off, and I'm trying to make sure I have enough paint on the sponge itself, and then go over the sticker. Now, I was too heavy-handed for the first one and got way too much paint on there, so I will need to redo that. When you go over it, you want to barely touch it, and this is going to bring out the design on those stickers. Look how beautiful that is. Let me see if I can get it a little bit clearer. But I do go back and fix the other one to match this one. Now I'm using a Dollar Tree glass vase. This one measures about 6.5 inches tall, and the diameter at the bottom is 6 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to take the backing off, and look how gorgeous it is on the back side. We're going to place that at the bottom of the vase, wrap it around, and then we can add our second piece. We'll start where the other one left off, match them up very closely, and then put that all the way around till it meets the other side. Now you can leave it like this, but I felt like it needed something else, so I decided to cut the 2 rows of flowers from both of those sticker packs, paint them the exact same way, and I'm going to place these at the very top. Now my cylinder at the top was larger than the base of it, so I had a little bit of a gap. To fix that, I took one of the other stickers. Now it wasn't the exact same design, I just made sure it was larger. And then I used the piece that I had painted the other sticker on to cut out that scallop, and then I could paint that and blend it in right there where that gap was. And I love that you can see the back side of those stickers through here. Now I'm going to decorate mine with these flowers from Temu that have these beautiful realistic stems. And although this was a very simple DIY, I think it turned out elegant and absolutely gorgeous. I would love to know what you think. If you want to make some inexpensive art for your home, grab a Dollar Tree canvas. I'm using a 5x7. I'm also going to use that celery chalk paint, but you can use acrylic paint in whatever color you like. I'm going to paint the top of the canvas, but I'm not going to cover the entire thing. I'm going to leave some of the edging on the outside white, and I do want some of those brush strokes to show, especially on the edges. Allow that to dry, and we're going to use a Dollar Tree stencil. This is one of their floral patterns. I'm going to choose the 2 roses, and I'm going to use some painter's tape to tape the top portion down. Then I'm going to add a layer of Mod Podge. I started off with a brush, and then I changed over to a Dollar Tree stencil brush. I'm going to pounce this up and down, adding a thin layer. This is going to help the paint to not bleed underneath the stencil when we add our white paint. Allow the Mod Podge to dry. Then I'm using a Dollar Tree sponge applicator and some white paint. I'm going to pounce this up and down, and the key thing is to hold the stencil as you're going, pressing down and adding thin layers. Now, while the paint is still dry, I can go ahead and remove that painter's tape and lift the stencil straight up. Allow your painting to dry, and you have a beautiful piece of artwork to display in your home. For this project, we will be using some of Dollar Tree's rub-on transfers. I'm going to cut out the ones that I want to use for this project individually, and we're using one of Dollar Tree's house-shaped signs. If you've never used these before, you just peel the backing off, place your transfer where you want it to go. You're going to use something with a flat edge. You want to apply a good amount of pressure, but not too much where you're going to damage the surface. Then you'll peel that top piece back, and if the transfer doesn't want to stay on your surface, kind of use your fingernail and press and scrape those areas until it stays, and then just slowly peel the paper back. Now I chose to go ahead and add the flowers at the bottom and the center and cut each individual garden tool and watering can and flower and place those at the bottom. Now I did find that with these transfers, the ones with the very thin lines, they took a little bit more time to make sure they adhere to the surface, but some of the larger ones did great. Then I applied the sign itself for the Farm Fresh flowers in the center. Now because this sign has some grooves in it, I did make sure I take the flat edge and go in between those grooves, scraping so that the transfer will stay inside those grooves. Now you could leave it just like that, but I want to spruce the hanger up a bit, so I'm going to use some of these buffalo check and white beads. I purchased these from Amazon, and I have them linked in my Amazon store in my description box below if you are interested in those. I'm going to alternate between the white and the buffalo check and fill that hanger up, but make sure you leave enough space so that you can feed that through and tie a knot on the back. So once I get my knot tied, I will add a little bit of hot glue to secure that to make sure the hanger does not come through. And this was such an easy project, but I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. When I saw this sign at Dollar Tree, I knew I had to get it. It is so pretty. Now, the engraving is not very deep, so you have to be careful with what you paint or stain it with. I'm going to use Waverly's Antique Wax. I am using a wet paintbrush to apply it a little at a time. Then I'm going to take a dry paper towel and wipe all that excess off and blend it in. I'll continue to do that for the entire front of the sign. Now, it's still a little dark, so I'm going to take a damp paper towel and remove even more excess to lighten that up so that you'll be able to see the lettering that's engraved on there. Now, my sign did have this line going across it over there on the right-hand side. So to fix that, I'm going to apply a little bit more antique wax, but instead of wiping it off, I'm going to take a dry paper towel and dab it very, very lightly so that it will stay in that line and it will blend, and then we'll let that dry. Now for the frame itself, you can paint it whatever color you like. I'm going to be painting mine with Waverly's chalk paint in the color Celery, and I'm using one of Dollar Tree's sponge brush applicators. This makes it so much easier to get a nice crisp line on the top of this frame. So you don't want to saturate your brush too much so that it runs or drips. You just want enough for it to cover the tip. And then I only applied one coat because I like the way that wood grain was showing through. You can add your hanger back on, and I think this piece turned out beautiful. For this project, we're using one of Dollar Tree's plastic plates. Now I'm going to show you the back side because the front side's kind of flashy and I don't want it to blind you or flash in your face. This measures about 10 1/4 inches in diameter. And we're going to paint the front side. Again, I'm going to use that Waverly chalk paint in the color Celery, but you use whatever kind of paint you like. Acrylic paint doesn't tend to stick to these plastic plates very well, so I am definitely going to use the chalk paint. I'm going to apply 2 thin layers, and I'm trying to keep my brush strokes at a minimum. Once that dries, I will flip it over and paint the backside rim just in case you can see that when the project is finished. Now that my paint has dried, I want to add a thin layer of Mod Podge, trying to make sure everything is even. And the reason that I'm adding this is to protect that paint from chipping off of the plate, as well as we're going to be adding a decal. I created this on my Cricut, and I know that not everyone has a Cricut, so I have this available as a free printable on my website. The link to my website's in my description box. All you have to do is go to my website, click on free printable, and then you can print this out on plain copy paper, put some pencil markings on the back side of the paper, and then trace this out onto your project and use either a paint pen or just regular paint. So you can leave this project just as it is, but I want to kind of beef mine up a little bit. So I'm using one of these faux wood plastic chargers. Sometimes you can find them at Dollar Tree, but I actually found this one at Dollar General for $1. And I'm going to add some E6000 to the back of our green plate on the rim, as well as some hot glue. That hot glue is going to give it that temporary hold. The E6000 is going to give it a permanent hold. Now you could just sit this up on a plate stand to display, or you could add a hanger on the back using some twine, glue, and some ribbon to reinforce that. I think this turned out absolutely stunning, but I would love to know what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed today's video and found tons of inspiration. If you have a favorite, let me know in the comments section down below. I always love to know which one is your favorite. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please take care, and I will see you guys next time.